Just as important, Red Bull brought to Baku the long-awaited major updates for the RB13. And here to talk us through those is Craig Scarborough, who, it must be said, when asked last week what car should we feature, Craig said, oh, well, let's do the Red Bull, it's bound to win. I'm kind of making that up a little bit, but what a result, eh?
Such vision. Yes, it was a fantastic result. Obviously, great performance on the Friday. I don't know if they're quite actually at the front at the moment, but the updates are starting to come through and you're starting to see the car performing as we would expect a Red Bull to in comparison to the Ferrari and the Mercedes. Changes back front to back really on the car. Some of them come back from Canada, but if we sort of step through. So if we just spin around first of all to the front wing, little detail we've not seen before. On the end plate you see here, normally that's a nice solid vein along the outside. Red Bull put this little slot in there, which is just much like we see slots everywhere else, is just trying to help get the airflow turning much quicker. And the end plate is designed to get more air pushing out past the front tyre, which stops that front tyre turbulence hitting the back of the car. So something probably we'll see copied quite a lot. It's quite a neat little idea that teams are using. Then, if we start to spin the car around, you start to see some of the other changes, just as the end plate goes out of view there. So, split screen now, you can see the two different barge boards. New one on the left here, much larger, more little tweaks and details and curves and cuts. Again, it's all about managing the flow along the flanks of the car. And barge boards much larger this year, far more complicated this year. Red Bull aren't in the sort of the Ferrari, Mercedes level of complexity, but they're starting to get there, and you can see that they're now starting to feel where the air should be going, how the car works in terms of its sort of pitching and heave and roll as it goes around the laps with the different suspension that they have to run this year. So all just sort of very incremental improvements. One key change, if we sort of step along now and just look just behind the barge boards to the floor, a feature of the car since it was first released was, as you see here, this big cutout in the floor. That was unique to Red Bull. Now they've gone for a much more conventional lip on the end, and this is all about getting the air off those barge boards, out from under the floor so that the diffuser works properly, and then this flow then goes along the edge of the floor and helps seal the floor and helps seal the rear wheel wake from going into the diffuser, something that we speak about a lot, and it's another feature that's coming up here. Further along this edge of the floor, again talking about this flow that interrupts from the tyre going into the diffuser, is these little slots that you have in the floor. Red Bull changed these in Canada. Again, not massive changes, not something that's very different from their car to others, but it just shows that it's all very incremental sort of details that are helping bring Red Bull sort of back into a competitiveness. Then finally, if we then just spin up and have a look at the rear wing, Canada was a low drag circuit, smaller rear wings. Baku with its enormous straight, even more so. So Red Bull came here and they've changed the rear wing to a much shallower one, and then you can see here these louvers in the rear wing. Because the wing's shallower, they need less of those louvers in order to reduce the drag that's created at the wingtip there, which allows them to get a bit more top speed. So all of these changes have added probably a few tenths of performance to the Red Bull. Some tweaks to the Renault engine, they reckon it's sort of 2 tenths again. So you can see they're chipping away at improving the car and getting closer as the season goes through. Unfortunately, reliability is still an issue on that Renault engine. Obviously an oil problem for Verstappen during the Baku race. But Renault working through that, I'm sure. Red Bull are working on the chassis. And as we come to somewhere like Silverstone, I think we'll get a real feel for exactly where that chassis is now in comparison to Ferrari and Mercedes.